Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. We're going to go ahead and do a recap of Week 13 real quick, man. Get this out the way and do a little tribute afterwards. After the show's over with and everything. Let's jump on into this right now. Dallas 27, Saints 17 from the game Thursday. Dallas somewhat redeemed themselves in the game, although I felt like they should have put up at least 35 on the Saints. Dak was so going 26 for 40, 238 yards. A touchdown and a pick. Running game still not there. Zeke had been playing with a bruised knee for about a month, but Pollard electrifying 58-yard run helped ease some of that pain. CeeDee Lamb, like I said, week in and week out, is turning into an elite receiver. 7 catches for 189 yards. Some real hard runs with the yak and whatnot. And that's really looking promising and whatnot. Dallas defense came to play somewhat. I mean, I don't have anything against Hill, but there should have been no way that he should have had 264 yards, even if he went 19 or 41, 2 touchdowns. But he tossed 4 picks and one pick six. Remember, Saints is a wounded team. It makes you wonder if Jameis Winston or even Alvin Kamara played. What would have been different? It might have been kind of a different game. Either way, hey man, a win is a win. We still sit up first in the NFC East. Bucks 30, Falcons 17. Old Tom Brady, old Methuselah, right? And Chris Goodwin basically played pitch and catch in the Falcons' backyard. Brady attempted 52 passes, 38 completions for 368 yards and 5 touchdowns. Goodwin caught like 15 balls for like 143 yards. Like I said, Brady has mastered the position. Oh, and get this, he wasn't even sacked once thanks to a Falcons defense that can't put heat on a 44-year-old quarterback. I mean, are they that bad, or is the Bucs O-line just that good? Meanwhile, old Matty Ice went 30 for 41, 297 yards, no touchdowns or picks. This game going into the halftime is 2017 after Brady threw an ugly pick six right before halftime. The Falcons get the ball early in the second half. On a 3rd and 13, Matty Ice scrambles, makes a good throw to Russell Cage, who had a big game, gets the first down, but then gets the ball knocked out his hands, fumbles, and the Bucs get the ball back. And then that was pretty much the start of the end. The Falcons can't put points on the board and field goals on beating the Brady-led team. Let's just face that. If you're really trying to sit up there and win, field goals ain't getting it done. You got to get in that end zone once you get in that red zone. Cards 33-22 after about 3 weeks off of Kyler Murray and some couple of weeks off of Deandre Hopkins. We were back in the saddle again. You wonder if the rust was going to factor in. I'm sure it did, but they picked up basically right where they left off. Murray only threw the ball 15 times but completed 11 passes for 123 yards with 2 touchdowns. Rushed for 75 yards with a touchdown. D-Hop got a score. Would catch a touchdown. Andy, the rifleman, red rifleman, was awful, throwing 4 picks, going 26 for 44, 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bears had some talent on that team. I know Justin Fields was hurt, but man, you would think Dalton would play better than that, especially at this stage of his career. Bears in trouble. You're going to look for some changes once the season is over, said and done with. The Chargers 41, Bengals 22. Well, this week, the Chargers look like they are one of the best teams, and the Bengals didn't look like the team they were supposed to be. They both actually remind me of each other. They mirror. They got 2 young, talented quarterbacks in the league. I think their second year, after that 2020 draft and whatnot. And one week they look like they can beat anybody that step on the field, and the next week they look like they don't even belong on the same field with the team. All right. This week it was the Chargers looking good. Justin Herbert lit up the Bengals 26 for 35 for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And Mike Williams had a big game, 5 catches, 110 yards. Ironically enough, they turned the ball over 5 times. Austin Eckler coughed it up 4 times. The Bengals turned the ball over as well, which actually kept them from coming back and possibly winning the game. Joe Mixon fumbled the ball on the Chargers 34. Tavon Campbell scooped it up and went 61 yards for a touchdown. Joe Burrow went 24 for 40, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and a fumble. Mixon had 1 touchdown with 2 fumbles lost. The irony of this game, it was 9 turnovers. Now, you tell me if they aren't the same team. The Lions, 27, The Lions 29, Vikes 27. The Lions finally win a game. Not too much to talk about here. Soon as you want to jump up on the Vikes and root for Cousins being a top tier quarterback, he always does something. Case in point, last week a crucial play lined up under the guard. Cousins and Jefferson put up some serious numbers. Cousins went 30 for 40 for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Jefferson 11 catches for 182 yards and a score. Now you would think they would have put up about 40 points. The Vikes didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter, which meant they moved the ball down the field, but only to sit up there and score field goals. Now not to be outdone, Jared Goff went 25 for 41, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, and he damn near gave the game up with a fumble loss late in the game that led to the Vikes getting the lead. But with about a minute and 50 seconds left, Goff drives the Lions down 75 yards for game-winning touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown, giving the Lions the first win of the season. Look for some changes in that ball club, too, between Zimmerman and probably Cousins there. Dolphins 20, Giants 9. After losing 7 straight games, the Dolphins has reeled off 5 straight wins. Tua has been solid. Put up another solid performance, going 30 for 41, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Jalen Waddle caught 9 balls for 90 yards. Journeyman quarterback Mike Glennon was in for Daniel Jones, who had 223 yards off of where did he go? 23 and 44 for 187 yards with a pick. He was harassed by the Dolphins throughout the day, sacked 3 times, 2 by rookie Jalen Phillips. The Dolphins may have a bright future. Meanwhile, the Giants, well, the same old Giants. Eagles 33 versus the Jets 18. This was a pretty good game for a while until the Jets turned back into, the Jets. They were actually leading 18-14 in the second quarter, but wouldn't last. In a 5-minute span, the Eagles would score 9 points, making it 24-18 at the half. And then the Jets turned back into the Jets. Gardner Minshew had a good game replacing an injured Jalen Hurts, something I didn't even know about, going 20 for 25 for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders had a nice game, 24 catches, 120 yards, but I think he got hurt near the end of the game. Penn State backs. Dallas Goddard had a big day, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches for 105 yards. Zach Williams started solid. Williams started solid but couldn't finish. Their defense is a concern. You had receivers running around in the secondary and missed tackles left and right. So again, that's the Jets. Colts 31, Texans 0. Let me start with Tyrod Taylor. And this is one of the worst plays I've seen all day. And if you're somebody like me, who, when it comes to, I love to see, the thing about me, aside from being a Dallas fan, and being a homer and all this other kind of stuff like most fans are, but I like to deal with the beauty of the game. And when the game is played right, when the game is played when they are perfecting the game, when it's looking good, when it's looking sharp, when it's looking clean. Let me start with him. First play of the game, a lazy rollout pass. He's doing a rollout. And even a lazier throw that resulted in an interception. That play was pathetic and is indicative of what the day was going to be. Taylor was 5 for 13 for 45 yards and that horrendous pick. The Texan football organization is a sewer pit. Now to a real team not throwing in the towel. This is becoming a habit, and I love that it is a habit. Jonathan Taylor carrying the ball for over 32 times and gaining 143 yards with 2 touchdowns. Old school football, solid 1970 stats from Carson Wentz: 16 for 22, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. Dallas could learn something from Frank Reich. Skins 17 versus the Raiders 15. What can I say? The Skins are hot, and they are moving in on Dallas in the East. And I still don't believe them, but we will see. Heineke is playing game manager right now, going 23 for 30 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Antonio Gibson is churning out a nice at running the ball. Skins, despite missing 2 top defensive players on D, are still playing good on that side of the ball. That's their strength. Well, the Raiders let this one slip through their hands, literally. Josh Jacobs ran the ball good, something they should have stayed with. Carr went like 28 for 38 for 249 yards with no touchdowns. He has to at least throw a touchdown and stop settling for field goals. Hunter Renfrow had a big game, 9 catches for 102 yards. This game should have been over, could have been over. Carr missed 2 easy throws in the end zone. A quarterback of his caliber should make these throws in his sleep. That could have been the touchdowns on 2 different drives instead of they had to kick field goals. And like I said, you can't be a serious contending team for a Super Bowl having a Super Bowl run and you're just kicking field goals. That's just not going. That's not going to happen. Rams 37, Jags 7. This game was cute for about a quarter and a half when the Jags marched 73 yards on 13 plays to score a touchdown by Carlos Hyde, a very impressive drive. But that's pretty much where it ended. Matthew Stafford, who started looking like Matthew Stafford the first 6 or 7 weeks, 26 for 38 for 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Cooper Kupp, 8 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. I think he's the first wide receiver now to have like 100. It's called 100 balls. We're playing. They were just playing in the backyard, pitch and catch with each other at the Jags' defense expense. Throw Sonny Michel in for a strong running game with 24 carries for 121 yards, 1 touchdown. The Jags look like, the Jags. Steelers 20 versus the Ravens 19. I've been saying this earlier in the year. Lamar has been under pressure all year with poor pass protection the last month or so, probably even a little bit back further. So he has been under heavy pressure. In fact, I think that most of his career since becoming a starter, this is something no one is talking about. He was under pressure all day from T.J. Watt and company. He does have to make better decisions, like the one pick that he threw, a crucial third down play where he was pressured when he should have just thrown the ball away. They were clearly in Justin Tucker's range. That's 3 points, which means late in the game, they wouldn't have had to go for 2 because they would have been up 22-20. Jackson was sacked 7 times, pressured all day long. I don't know what the wide receivers are doing for the Ravens, but separating obviously is not one of them, evidently. Jackson went 23 for 37, 23 yards and a touchdown in that bad pick. Also led the team in rushing along with a strong game from Foreman, who had a touchdown. When these two teams play, it can go either way. Big Ben did his thing, 21 for 31, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris added 21 carries, 71 yards. Deontay Johnson shredded the Ravens secondary for 8 catches for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big Ben was sacked once. Kind of ironic that an almost 40-year-old quarterback isn't hardly touched, but a 24 to 25-year-old young quarterback has harassed and sacked 7 times. But after all that, Lamar still drove them down the field to hit Watkins with the touchdown by 1 touchdown, down by 1, going for 2 to possibly ice the game. I think they win the game if they get this, going for 2. Harbaugh wanted to go for 2. Watt rushes in hard, does a hell of a play, kind of make Lamar adjust. But Andrews is by himself. Remember, nobody even chipped Watt. Nobody chipped him. Even Andrews coming in motion, he didn't even chip him. If he chips him just a little bit, Lamar probably could have ran that ball in, right? But Andrews was wide open. Nobody was even on him. Lamar didn't make the greatest of throws, but Andrews has made some nice circus catches as a tight end, as his go-to guy, and that's something he should have got. Man, this is a game of inches. The Ravens still lead the North, and in my opinion, I think they still would take it again. Just got to play better. Offensive line play, and the secondary has got to get better. And they lost Humphries, I think, probably out for the season, so that's another blow because they're missing their top-tier cornerback. I think he's out for the season, if I'm not mistaken, the majority of the season anyway. Marcus Peterson, if I'm not mistaken. Chiefs 22, Broncos 9. Another not-so-pretty win by the Chiefs. The Broncos did more on offense than the Chiefs. The problem was Teddy Bridgewater threw some bad picks. On the bright side, Javonte Williams rushed 23 times for 102 yards, filling in for hurt, again, Melvin Gordon. Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey were mediocre at best, but their defense bailed them out. And they are still a game ahead of the Chargers. If the Chiefs want to make an iconic run, Mahomes and company is going to have to step it up starting by next week. Seahawks 30, Niners 23. Man, this was a good game. I wish I was able to watch. I was able to check some of the highlights out. In my area, that game wasn't being played, obviously. He shook off the rust, going 30 for 37, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. by all accounts, should have probably resulted in a 3-touchdown day. Instead, the receiver caught it twice and then kicked it, which popped up and ended up getting picked off when they were deep. As on about the 5 or 6 yard line of the Niners. Metcalf chipped in and finally looked like we thought they would look all season. Jimmy G went 20 for 30 for 20 for 30 for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 bad picks. Kittle's had a hell of a day as he was regained his form from the 2018-2019 season, catching 9 balls for 181 yards. I think they have a few players hurt. Didn't see Deebo Samuel, but the Niners are not out the hunt yet. But this loss didn't help matters at all. Pats 14, Bills 10. Sean McDermott can say all he wants to say. That didn't have nothing to do with old boy, and I see what he's saying. But at the same time, I see what Belichick was doing as well. We're going to run the ball, and you ain't gonna be able to stop it because I don't think y'all that good. And I think we can just run the ball and still win the game on y'all. And that's what we're going to do. And that's what they did. They chopped him up 46 times for 222 yards, and Mac Jones passed the ball 3 times for 19 yards. Bills had the chances to seal the game. Even after the miserable tackling that was on display by the Chiefs defense, the Pats had the best D in the game, bar none. And one of the better running attacks, Damian Harris, who had 10 carries for 111 yards, and that up-the-gut 64-yard touchdown run, and Brandon Stevenson looked like a young Earl Campbell. The Bills had 2 opportunities to put this game out of reach, maybe 2 touchdowns, or just win the game by a point due to a motion penalty that set them back and later a sack. The Bills shot themselves in the foot repeatedly. They only have themselves to blame for this particular loss, and maybe some of the whispers are true that the Bills are really overrated, or the Bills really as good as everybody say that they are, and whatnot. Yeah, man, and that's pretty much it right there, man. It's like the irony of all of that whole thing of that particular games. These games are pretty close. And like I said, the running game is going to be extremely important this year. They've made it important. And because what's going on, I think what everybody is starting to do, a lot of teams are starting to do, instead of sitting up there having quarterbacks throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, people are trying to go back to the running game and not put all that pressure on a quarterback for him to be throwing the ball that many times. Because when you throw the ball that many times, if you have a decent defense, they're going to make you pay some way, form, or fashion and whatnot. They're going to make you pay some way, form, or fashion. So, that's my thing right there. Want to give a shout out the last couple of weeks, probably the last 3 weeks or so. We've lost 3 Hall of Famers. A couple of weeks ago, we lost the great Sam Huff. Sam Huff was probably one of the first defensive stars in the league. And whatnot. He was on front of Time magazine back in the 50s. He's the first player that was mic'd up. The Violent World of Sam Huff. You could probably watch that on YouTube and whatnot. He's on the front of Time magazine. He was in New York at the time when the Giants was doing their thing and whatnot. And their defense was just doing, and the defense was a major contributor and one of the first superstar defenses that was noticed in the league. And Sam Huff was a big part of that. He passed away. Then who else we had? Curly Culp, he passed away. First major nose guard in that 3-4 when that 3-4 defense started coming in the late 60s, early 70s. Culp was that nose guard, nose tackle they called him, or what have you, and whatnot. He passed away. He's a Hall of Famer from a couple of years ago and whatnot. He passed away, and you had Claude Humphries, who played for the Atlanta Falcons and the as well as the Eagles. He was on the Eagles run when they went to 1980. That good Eagles team that would end up playing the play the Raiders. I think I want to be Super Bowl 13, I believe, if not 13 or 14, 13, I believe, 14 or 15, I believe. It's one of them Super Bowls. It's the 1981 Super Bowl and whatnot. Over 130 sacks or something like that. One of the better defensive ends of his era and whatnot. And those 3 Giants passed away. And, like I say, just giving a shout out to them and whatnot. And you guys, like I say, man, subscribe to the page, smash that like button and whatnot. And also because when talking about running backs and what I see happening right now in the game, think about it. You know, some of these top tier backs that they call top tier, these guys are going down early in their career, and I don't remember a time it ever really being like that. So I will be doing a show talking about the backs that I came up on, and I don't recall them guys being hurt like these guys are. But but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. You know, like I say, comments and leave some comments, suggestions, anything like that down there in the comments area. And like I tell you guys all the time, man, share this and whatnot. Subscribe to the page. We're trying to get better. And like I tell you guys all the time, there's no greatest of all time as long as time is still going on. And like I say, man, hey, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You guys have a good one. Probably holler at you guys tomorrow.